Nanga Def, that is a little wall off for you. You're listening to Diasporic music on Black Power 96, and we are getting ready to continue the show. We want you to stay tuned for Dr. Gerald Horn, and Melinda is going to introduce the next part of Diasporic music on Black Power 96.
Yeah, so to let listeners know, if people don't already know, August 14th is a very important date in the Black August calendar. It was the day that Bois Caiman started and kicked off the Haitian Revolution in 1791, which, lasted for 13 years. And, Haiti was finally, won its liberation in 1804. So we talked to Comrade Jean Jafrikayiti, is his website, and we talk a little bit about Bois Caiman and also context of what's happening in Haiti now. So yeah, stay tuned and listen to the interview. It's going to be in two parts. We had a great conversation with him on Thursday. So yeah, you'll hear one half today, and then we'll try to, give that to you, the second part in upcoming months, in the upcoming weeks. So yeah, stay tuned. You're about to listen to Jean, the conversation that me, Norman, and Jean had on Thursday. And also afterwards, Tian, enters the jazz zone, and we're continuing our tribute of Angie Bay. So yeah, stay tuned. And also, basically, we have Gerald Horn at 3:30. So yeah, packed up show, and listen to our conversation with Jean.
Uhuru Sasa, which means freedom now in Kiswahili. You're listening to Diasporic music on Black Power 96, and it's on the buttons. And we have a special guest today. I'm going to let Melinda Francis, Molly Dr. Vexen introduce a comrade from Haiti by way of, are you in Ottawa and Montreal, sir?
I'm in Ottawa, Gatineau.
Ottawa, Gatineau. I remember being there once or twice. Melinda, you wanted to kick everything off.
Yes. So I would like to welcome comrade and ongoing guest of Diasporic music. He is an activist, he's a journalist, he's a radio host. I would like to welcome to the show Jean Jafrikayiti, and welcome to show. This is Black August, and also we are pre-recording the show, but today is Bois Caiman. So I would like to welcome again to the show, Jean. Welcome.
Thank you for having me again, sister.
So yeah, we wanted to get your, sort of like a more background if our listeners don't know a little bit about Bois Caiman. It's a very big, important day, so maybe you could talk a little about a little background for the listeners who don't know.
Yes. So on August 14th, the evening of August 14th, 1791, something that was going to change the reality of people on the American continent happened on the island of Haiti. Uh, Around 200 or so African men and women gathered and they took the oath to conduct a full-fledged revolt that was to culminate into the Haitian Revolution. The week after that, plantations started to burn and the war continued until complete victory by the revolted Africans on that island against the army of Napoleon Bonaparte, which was led by his own brother-in-law, General Leclerc, who died on the island. Now, of course, this evening of August 14th, 1791, for the longest time was ignored, not only in the so-called white world, but even in Haiti. It wasn't declared a national holiday until, I believe, last year or 2 years ago. So this, to me, is an important thing to mention because oftentimes we celebrate the Haitian Revolution without making mention of the scars, the deep scars, the wounds that the survivors carry. And part of those wounds include the fact that despite all of these sacrifices that our brave ancestors made for us, surviving Africans of today, not only those of Haiti, because we need to understand when the revolution was taking place, there was no such thing as a Haitian, a Jamaican, a Trinidadian, a Barbadian. In fact, people came all the way from Guadeloupe to warn Dessalines and help the revolted Africans win the battle against the Spanish, the British, and the French. And so it is a we victory. And indeed, we all need to celebrate the sacrifice, the victory of our ancestors and pay due homage to them. And so on this day, on August 14th, 2025, the question we're asking is, are we living up to the legacy of our ancestors? They did not do Bois Caiman so that Haitians can continue to serve foreigners. Jamaicans can continue to take care of their beautiful beaches so that white tourists can come and enjoy while they live miserable lives in Jamaica or in other countries in the Caribbean. And so the meaning of this revolution is something that needs to constantly remain in our minds to understand that the struggle must continue until complete and total irreversible victory.
You're listening to Diasporic music on Black Power 96. Did you want me to ask a question, Melinda? Or you...
Well, I mean, maybe we can kind of bring it to today. Are we living up to those those expectations, or are we continuing the struggle, especially on what's going on currently in Haiti? Maybe kind of connected to what's going on right now in Haiti.
Yeah, so as you might know, there are some ridiculous things happening in Haiti, which also involves other countries of the Caribbean, including this regional organization called CARICOM. In fact, the United States just 2 days ago, on August the 12th, announced that they've increased a bounty on the head of the man who's considered the most dangerous criminal in Haiti, a terrorist named Jimmy Cherizier. This is a very, very, very important story for our folks to understand because there's a lot of money being spent by the US government to create confusion around this one person. Jimmy Barbecue Cherizier is a former policeman who is leading a group of terrorists in Haiti called Vivre Ensemble, or before that, group G9. They are armed with U.S. weapons that come almost 95% from the United States, from Florida. Some come from Israel. But in any case, all of these weapons manufactured far away from Haitian shores get to Haiti with the complicity of U.S. authorities. And so they've armed this criminal, facilitated his crime sprees, and now they're pretending that they're looking for him. Okay, there's an arrest warrant after this guy dated January 31st, 2020. The guy is doing Facebook Lives, is on YouTube, he's doing interviews with Al Jazeera journalist, and is in regular communication with the U.S. Embassy by the admission of the former U.S. ambassador himself, Dennis Hankins. And he's got a couple of white men who pretend to be progressive leftists in New York, Kenneth Ives and Dan Cohen, who are doing documentaries about this guy, mocking the Haitian Revolution, calling this terrorist who is only killing Black Haitians a revolutionary. And they've recruited a white guy in Canada to do the same. And so they started to look ridiculous. And their most recent move was to try to recruit Pan-Africanists such as Kemi Seba to go to Haiti and to say that everybody should come around the same table and share power, and there should be an armistice and peace treaty and all of that. So they tried that, and Kemi was a little bit smarter than some of the other guys, and he didn't go as far as they wanted him to go, but it was a trap, and we warned our brother not to go there because Haitians have never identified this guy as a progressive force. We understand the game that the United States is playing in Haiti is very similar to what they're doing in the Sahel region of Western Africa, whereas they create the terrorists, they arm them, and then they go and offer their help to the government, which is also a puppet government. And then so while they're selling weapons, they are fragilizing the state so that the US can send their own mercenaries and eventually their militaries to establish military bases and take over the territory. That's the game they're playing. And so Haitians are saying, the hell with this. We don't need anyone to help us to death. Get out of our country and let us take care of our business ourselves. And without regular replenishment of weapons and ammunition from the United States, these so-called terrorists would not last a month in Haiti. The population would take care of business. So, yes, it is very difficult to say that we are living up to the legacy of our ancestors on this August 14th, 2025, because the level of resistance has not risen to meet what is happening on the front of the enemy. However, you can see, for instance, this coming weekend, on Sunday, Haitians are meeting in Montreal. Among us, there will be some former members of Canadian and American militaries who know exactly how these militaries function, who are going to brainstorm as to how we're going to take Haiti away from the claws of the 15 white mafia families who control the country currently, with their accomplices in white North America, that is Canada, the United States, and Europe.
You're listening to Diasporic Music. I have a question, a 2-point question for you. In terms of Kevin Ives, does he pretend or does he claim to be a Marxist, or is he a social democrat? That's the first question. And the second question is, the Africans that came to Haiti, is it true in many situations the imperialists took different ethnic groups and mixed them up so they could not communicate? But is it true that in Haiti they basically took Africans from, I guess it was Dahomey, today it's Benin? They took the Haitians in, two Africans to Haiti in bulk. No, that's a bad thing to say. They took them and they could communicate, and that's one of the reasons why the revolution, people could communicate, that helped move the revolution forward. Or is that true or not true?
Thank you, brother, for these two excellent questions. First, with regards to Kenneth Ives, I don't know what he calls himself, but clearly he had positioned himself to the left. And his assignment was to do exactly what was done against Hugo Chavez in 2002, etc., when the U.S. was trying to overthrow him. That is to poison the left in terms of their opinion of the leadership of Haiti, so that there is not normal solidarity with the people in their uprising. And so by creating a fake revolution that takes attention away from the real solidarity movement that could have existed. Okay, so him and Dan Cohen, if you hear them talk, of course, they will take the posture that they are criticizing the government of the United States, for instance, with regards to what's happening in Gaza, with what's happening in other places. But when you look at who is saying exactly the same thing as them, it's the former right-wing U.S. ambassador to Haiti, Pamela White. So you cannot fool everybody every day. And one of the reasons why their strategy works is the tendency of people in the African communities to always be looking for some good white guy. You know the character that they use in the film Black Panthers?
Yes,
you know,
sir.
the one that the princess calls my favorite colonizer. Well, this character is what exactly these white guys are playing. And Dr. Martin Luther King dealt with them as well during the civil rights movement. They infiltrated the movement in order to subdue it, to divert it, and etc. So we're used to that kind of strategy. And the coup against President Aristide in 2004 would not have succeeded if there wasn't infiltration on the left, right? To malign the leader and to create confusion that could have been avoided. The second question with regards to the identity of Africans who revolted in Haiti is really, really something that is complex. I don't have enough information to really give you a complete answer. However, the thing that made the difference for the revolution in Haiti, as opposed to revolts that had taken place in Suriname, in Brazil, in Barbados, in Jamaica, everywhere Africans revolted from the shores of Africa during the travel from the west coast of Africa to the Americas. Like, we always revolted. But what made the difference is demographics. It's not necessarily in terms of the fact that these people spoke the same languages, because in fact, in Haiti, language was such a challenge that Creole was created, the Haitian Creole. Mm-hmm. And the Haitian Creole, you will find words from, that come from the Kingdom of Dahomey, like the Fon, the Eve, but you also find Congo. So it's also a mix, right? So it's not so much the where the people came from. And some of us actually, like when I did my DNA test, I find even some Maasai DNA, because that's the thing in the Caribbean. Yes, people who would not have met on the African continent end up mixing their DNA in the Caribbean because of the Mahafa, the kidnapping of our ancestors. However, the ratio of Africans, enslaved Africans to whites and the free blacks or the affranchis or the mulatto was completely different in Haiti than it was, for instance, in Jamaica or Barbados. The whites in the British and the Spanish colonies were more careful to make sure that they are not overwhelmed by the number of enslaved Africans. Whereas in Haiti, at the start of the, so-called start, because really, like I said, revolts were taking place all the way from the shores of Africa and never stopped. But at the time of the Bois Caiman revolt, there were about 450,000 Africans for 30,000 whites and another 30,000 free blacks and affranchis. So 450,000 versus 60,000, right? And that you couldn't find that anywhere else in the region. And whether it is on the island of Cuba, where the Spanish were ruling and the land that they had stolen, the ratio of whites versus blacks or indigenous people was always something that was more favorable to keeping the status quo. Whereas in Haiti, it was bound to happen, and the French became so cocky that they thought that they could even have blacks integrate their army, become generals in their army, like Toussaint Louverture, and still serving the whites. I mean, that was totally stupid, but we like when they become stupid.
Yeah, but the Maasai part, that's East Africa. That's really fascinating when you think about it.
Yeah, it is real, but it happened.
Yes, sir.
Also, just to add is, I've heard stories that actually warriors, actually went specifically to train revolutionaries. I don't know if that's true. That's like one of the stories I heard in Haiti when I was there. So there's that too, right? Like, people knew that people were disappearing, and so they went in to train fighters, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and it is amazing, right? When we talk about these stories, we mention mostly, if not exclusively, the men. But in fact, to the point that you're raising, Sister Mali, it's actually a woman, Agbaraba Toya, who's said to be one of the Amazon warriors, right? We saw in the Woman King movie, right? Carola Davis was playing that character. Well, according to the history that we have, it is one such woman who trained Dessalines, who adopted him because his mother died very, very, very early after he was born. And so this woman, we don't know how she arrived on the island, right? So what you just said, whether it was the people of Dahomey who sent her to on a special mission, we don't know. But the story is that she actually is the one who trained Dessalines in the art of close battle, and so men and women, and we have other women such as Lieutenant Sanit Belair, and sometimes it makes us smile, right, when you hear people like jokers like our former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau or Mélanie Joly talking about how they have a feminist foreign policy and they're going to Africa, they're going to Haiti, they're going to the Caribbean to teach these backwards people how to treat women right. And we had women generals in our army, okay, back in the 1800s, right? So the arrogance of white supremacy is only matched by its stupidity.
Yeah, they had whole like women's units. In the
and of course, and again, this is recent history, right? I mean, you go to Egypt and you look at the temples and you watch Hatshepsut, or you look at Queen Tiye who's standing right beside her husband. I mean, we always knew that it is the brother and the sister coming together that makes us beautiful and glorious. We don't need anybody to come and teach us that.
Yeah, you had like Queen Nzinga from Angola. We had Ya Santiwa from Ghana. We learned about these sisters a little late, because Africans were influenced by African men were influenced by white supremacy. So we had well, let me speak from a North American perspective. We had chauvinism in our movements. I think Garvey, to his credit, had women in his leadership, but a lot of the other organizations, the women may have even been in the leadership, but the men took the bows and made the exit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you look at Coretta Scott King. She's not given enough credit for all of what she's done.
Right.
The woman fought the government of the United States in court and won when she proved that there was a conspiracy by the FBI, the CIA, to murder her husband. No, I mean, you're right, brother. Like we have been contaminated. We've lost our ways. There are many instances where clearly chauvinism and even misogyny has infiltrated our communities. But what I mean is that we don't need those jokers to come lecture us about that. We need to take care of business ourselves.
Right. And the last thing I want to say about Coretta Scott King, she was an internationalist, like her. Well, some have even made the claim that she pushed Dr. King on the international front. But Dr. King told her when they were, as they say in the United States, when they were courting, King told her that he was a socialist. That was in 1948. He said he was a socialist, and that was part of his pitch to get her to marry him.
Yeah, indeed.
And you're listening to Diasporic Music on Black Power 96. You have some more questions, Melinda?
Yeah, I guess a little bit about what's happening in Haiti now. Maybe talk a little bit of what's coming up the pipeline for Haitians on the ground right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, we currently have a recent change that happened last week where the puppet regime, we have something ridiculous where instead of having a president and a prime minister as the head of the executive, the jokers who are really running the show in Haiti, that is the ambassadors of the United States, Canada, France, etc., they organized a meeting in Jamaica and they came up with this idea of having 9 folks represent the presidency. Mind you that when they have these 9 folks who create a council of presidents, transitional council of presidents, each of their spouses have an allocation. So they're collecting a salary per diem and all kinds of ridiculousness. And so that means the money, the meager budget that the Republic has is being wasted on these fools traveling to meetings discussing nonsense, okay? Like, feminist foreign policy type of crap. So there is now a situation where both representatives of the executive, okay, because there's no legislative power anymore because they've never organized elections. The puppet regime that Hillary Clinton put in power by entering Haiti and ordering the director of the Electoral Council to change the results of the election. This has now been proven, okay? the director of the Electoral Council admitted that it was Hillary Clinton and the whites, that's the term that he used, who forced him to change the results of the election so that they could put Michel Martelly, who was a public amuser, better known for grabbing his private parts in public, president of Haiti. And he stole $4.2 billion of the Petro-Caribe funds. The people revolted, and to stop the people from revolting, the United States financed the criminal terrorists, such as barbecue, to take the streets. And so the regular, people, the people's movement is crushed, essentially. People have to retreat to their homes. And so now the so-called private sector in Haiti, that is the 15 white mafia families, including Gilbert Biggio, who for 25 years was the consul general of Israel in Haiti, who has his own private ports where the illegal weapons are smuggled into Haiti from Israel or the United States. Now they have their representative, who is the president of the Presidential Council and the prime minister. So both heads of the executive council, the only thing left, is cornered by the 15 white mafia families. Those same mafia families that the government of Canada, the United Nations, and even the United States pretends to be sanctioning. They announce sanctions against some of these guys. They pick them very carefully. For instance, Gilbert Biggio, who is the only billionaire of the island, lives in Florida. He's a neighbor to Donald Trump. He's not sanctioned by the United States, but Canada sanctions him. So you see how they play the game? The guy doesn't have any asset in Canada. So what does a Canadian sanction against him mean? Nothing. So they're playing this good cop, bad cop game to keep the Haitian people in waiting. Meanwhile, the corrupt politicians in Canada, the United States, and Europe continue to have relationships, close relationships with their white cousins who occupy the island of Haiti, while pretending that they're having serious discussions about how to solve the crisis in Haiti. And so, meanwhile, time is passing. More and more territory of the country are being taken over by the terrorists that are armed by the U.S., and middle class Haitians are terrorized, as well as the most impoverished classes. They are doing everything they can to leave the island. And so the rich are buying up land that is being abandoned at cheap price so that, they can go and build their hotels, etc., when they take over Haiti. What's happening in Haiti is not very dissimilar to what's happening in Gaza. It's a takeover of the territory by white warlords. And the white warlords in Haiti, they are local ones, and they are working with their white cousins in North America and in Europe. And to make sure that their criminal operation is successful, now they have recruited the help of mercenaries. I don't know if you've heard it, but Eric Prince is currently in Haiti. And just this morning, the news came out that his plan, he has signed a 10-year contract with the puppet illegal government of Haiti that the whites had put in power, so that not only is he going to deploy his white mercenaries in Haiti, but they're going to collect customs. So they're going to take over the treasury of Haiti. It's armed robbery. All right. And so that's why I would really advise brothers and sisters from the Caribbean, you guys who are in Jamaica, understand that CARICOM is participating in this crime. And if they try it in Haiti and it works, guess who is next? Do you think you're going to be able to have an independent government in Jamaica, in Barbados, in Trinidad and Tobago, especially if they find that there's more oil than you thought that you had in your islands? They're going to try it in Cuba. They're going to try the same thing over and over again. Haiti is an international crime scene. That's where they experiment their craziest theories, and then they're going to try to apply it on the African continent, which is their real target.
Maybe talk a little bit, you have your own radio show, maybe, kind of tell listeners where they could connect with you and listen to you. You have a couple of shows, so talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I host a number of Haitian language programs on local community radios at CHU and CKCU in Ottawa, but online on my YouTube channel, which I invite people to check out, or on my blog, Jafrikayiti.com. It's spelled Jafrikayiti. It's really Afric and IT written in Haitian Creole or phonetically, and then you just add J in front of it. So Jafrikayiti, Jafrikayiti. So if you do Jafrikayiti.com, or to get there faster, you can just type godisnotwhite.com. That probably is easier to remember. And this is also the title of a regular program that I do every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. The program is God is Not White. And the topic that I discuss in this program is how people of African descent negotiate our relationship with Judeo-Christianity. We've covered a number of items, of the episodes was titled Not Jesus Ain't the Way, and many different ones like that. And so, as folks might not know, my father and my grandfather were Anglican priests, or from the Episcopalian Church. That is, African Americans who left the United States because they were being persecuted there and migrated to Haiti in the mid-1800s, at the time that Haiti had already been free. And so these are the people who basically started the Episcopalian Church in Haiti. That's the church in which I grew up. And so dealing with the impact of Judeo-Christianity on our psyche, on our mental health, is something that I have studied and written about. My book, Vive Bon Dieu à la Religion, published in 2000, is literally translated, Praise God, Down with Religion. So this is the focus of this program called God is Not White, every Wednesday on my YouTube channel. It's also on my LinkedIn page. Yeah, sorry, someone was calling, so there was a noise. I hope it doesn't disturb too much.
That's okay. We'll live with it. So just remind what's going on in Montreal on Sunday.
Yes, so this Sunday at 4 p.m. in Montreal, we are